How much protein for a pound of body weight should be consumed a day? About 1.5 grams per pound of body weight is going to be safe. Someone wants to know about stretching. Actually, I do a new kind of stretching with movement these days. I think actual static stretching, you're much better to do that after you've trained, when the muscles are warm, and you can stretch it out, get more blood supply in there, help the recovery process. Doing static stretching before weight training, some studies coming out recently that shows that it can actually weaken the muscle, so it's better if you do it after you've trained the body part. Do I do plyometric stretching? No. How do I feel about negative only training? Yeah, only at the end of the set, when you've reached failure, positive failure, you can usually do a couple more reps if your partner assists you to get the weight up, but it'd have to be on a machine to be practical. So, like a bench press machine, when you've completed your reps, then you can do a couple of negatives on the end. Squats all the way down or to parallel. It depends on the person who's doing it. Depends on your body structure. Some people are very comfortable going all the way down. Some people, parallel's better. So, you've got to listen to your own body. What kind of stretches do I recommend? Static stretching is fine after the training, as I said, after weights. Before that, I do some stretching with motion, which is, I think, something I can demonstrate right now. Decline bench, is it worth it? Actually, low decline is my favorite pec exercise. It's the most effective exercise, most range of motion, putting the pecs in a strong position, taking the stress away from the pec tendon. So yeah, very underrated exercises. Sayan wants to know, without a parallel bar in a gym, how can I work my outer chest? Well, there's a bit of a myth that you actually work different parts of the pecs. We don't have a parallel bar in my gym either. I've never done that exercise for pecs in my life, and I think I have some outer pecs. So, I wouldn't worry about that. You can achieve a great workout with barbells and dumbbells. How often to train your calves? Well, your calves are just the same as any other muscle group. Nothing magical about the calves or the muscle fibers in there or how they respond. You train them through a range of motion with weights, and if you train them hard enough, if you give them more stress than they're used to, then some growth response will be triggered, but you need to recover. So you need to rest them for a few days before you train them again. So there's no difference in the principles that apply to pecs or biceps or anything else, or calves. Train them very hard, rest them, go back and train them in 6 or 7 days' time, no more than that. It's a bit ridiculous that people say the calves are different, so you need to do more sets and more reps and more often, because that's what you do every day. You're walking on them every day, you're doing lots of reps, but it's not going to give you big calves, so you need to sharpen them with some heavy training. Unfortunately, there's a bigger variation genetically on calves, or the amount of muscle cells that are in the calves between people. So maybe this is where all the myths got started. Some people just don't have much muscle cells in that area. They have a very short muscle belly, so it's never really going to get that big. Whereas other people who are fortunate have very long muscle bellies. yours truly. Do I see a Brit becoming Mr. Olympia anytime soon? And who do I think it will be? Well, it's just a no to that right now. Can we talk about gear usage? Yeah, you can talk about it. I'll be interested. What do you want, man? Tell me. I recommend staying lean in the off season or bulking up heavily. Well, bulking up, no. Obviously, you're not going to maintain your contest condition because it's an unnatural state, low body fat, dehydration. You're not going to maintain that kind of condition. So you're going to put on some body fat just to a reasonable level. But anything more than that, you're just making it hard for yourself because you've got to get rid of that fat. And whenever you reduce calories to lose body fat, there's a chance you're going to lose some muscle as well. So the net gain that you get at the end of the year is going to be greater if you don't put in a lot of body fat. Simple as that. How long should a workout last? A weight training workout should last, I recommend no more than 45 minutes. How many grams of test weekly were I taking at my largest? Well, you're already making an assumption that the amounts that I was taking were in the gram range. Anyway, to be honest, the amounts of testosterone that I hear people taking these days is pretty shocking to me, and it's unnecessary. I'm not really going to go into recommended dosages to people and what I talk and all this kind of stuff. But just let me say, that you can take steroids and you can get a positive effect. That up to a certain level, perhaps more is better. But there becomes a point of diminishing returns where you're going to get no more positive anabolic effects. You're just going to get more negative side effects. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, all that kind of stuff, which is not good for you. So, in my experience, the bodybuilders that take abusive large amounts of steroids never win any contests because, unfortunately, they don't have the genetics for bodybuilding, and so they get frustrated in their efforts to look like the professionals. But these guys are very genetically gifted, so what happens is you get average guys just taking more and more steroids, thinking that's the answer. And yeah, they'll get bigger and they'll get heavier, but it's not quality muscles, a lot of water, and steroids can't change your structure and the balance of your body. They can only make you bigger to a certain degree. So, perhaps you should be asking me better questions, really. What do I think of today's bodybuilders? I think there's some good guys there, but honestly, if you take the lineups from the 90s, I think the quality of the bodybuilders were better, especially the conditioning now. The guys, perhaps because of their the way they're preparing or so on, they're coming to the contests perhaps bigger than in the 90s and fuller. But they don't have the conditioning, they don't have the hardness. So, on one hand, perhaps it's increased, the average muscle mass has increased, but the average condition has gone down. And I think if you're Mr. Olympia, then you should be the best bodybuilder in the world in all areas. You shouldn't just be the biggest. You should be the most conditioned as well. Why can I see amateur bodybuilders that have better condition than Mr. Olympia? Doesn't make sense to me. What exercises for quads do you recommend for taller guys? Well, I don't know if I'm a taller guy. I'm 5'11", so most bodybuilders are a little bit shorter. But Squats didn't really work that well for me. I actually got better progress when I did leg presses, hack squats, squats on the Smith machine, and medium reps. Not as low as I used to go on upper body. Legs, generally I would go in the 10 to 12 range, but sometimes up to 15 when I was building size. Did I ever suffer from gynecomastia? No, I didn't. Okay. There's a lot of questions coming at once right now. I want to give a quick shout out to MISC, a group of bodybuilders, bodybuilding.com. There it goes. If I could only train one muscle, what would it be? I don't know why I don't want to train one muscle, but
hello.
I guess if I had to only train one muscle, then
to mom,
I would train legs.
Yeah, she said I would pick her. I would drive her to the airport at 4. Or was it pick her up at the airport at 4?
You would build your legs, you'd build some cardiovascular conditioning, and you would build some muscle in the upper body as well, just from supporting the weight and so on. So I guess legs would be if I had to.
All right, I'll do that. All right. Bye.
What gear helps you overcome plateaus? Well, there's no special steroid to overcome plateaus and so on. I actually think steroids work better when somebody's been training for some time and their body now has trouble recovering. Because in the first year or two of training, you're going to be able to recover and you're going to be able to grow naturally. So I would leave them, if you're even considering it, I would leave them until you get to a natural plateau. Who's my favourite bodybuilder competing in 2011? I guess I like Branch Warren. Doesn't have the prettiest physique out there, but you know the guy's done a lot with it. He's hardcore. He trains hard. About protein. Well, protein is very important, but you know, certain carbohydrates are going to give you better energy levels and so on. So I recommend eating mainly good, clean food. Nothing wrong with a burger and a pizza now and then, or a beer or something, you know. But if you're going to do all that hard work in the gym, it's better to do some, give your body the correct fuel, you know. Best time of the day to eat before and after the gym. Well, you need to be eating regular throughout the day, you know, every 3 hours. But I wouldn't eat anything heavy before training. I would probably have a shake like an hour before, an hour and a half before. But apart from that, you need to be eating a good, high quality protein, complex carb meal every 2.5, 3 hours, man, religiously. Rotator cuff exercises, yeah, they're a very good idea. Something I wish I'd done earlier on before I got shoulder injuries. Strengthen the